You're listening to ESOPOD, the Foliance ESOP podcast.
Time. So it's been a little bit of whirlwind, but we got 4 kiddos at home, ages 11, my oldest daughter, girl boy twins that are 8 again, and then our youngster Miles, our 4-year-old. So we kind of got 2 of each, and they each get a twin relative to that. So
Sounds busy.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. But a lot of fun. Wouldn't have it any other way. And but yeah, been at Strategic for again about 8 years, or I guess the longer than 8 years here, coming up on 9. And I've been, just hugely involved in the financial planning side of it. Always fascinated me. Everybody has their own kind of puzzle or financial situation. So I don't know if we're jigsaw puzzlers over at Foliance or not, right? But I can use that as more of an analogy as we go. But helping people not only like paint their picture, but are we opening the box? Are we flipping all the pieces over so we can see them? Are we working through our border of the puzzle to make sure we're, have some structure to what's going on? So all those kinds of things. And yeah, it's been really a true blessing to be a part of Strategic. We have 19 people, so there were about half as many, or maybe even a little less than half of that when I joined. So we're continuing to grow local here in Iowa, and yeah, it's just been a fun ride. Family culture, and just absolutely love it.
Great. I know you're local to Iowa, but you also kind of travel to our locations. I've seen your screens up, your picture up on the screens at Lifeline for sure, and I know you've been to Cimarron.
Yeah,
How long have you been involved in Foliance and getting to the locations here?
yeah, I would say probably the last 6-ish years. So right out the gate, not necessarily, and then as I'm getting more involved with Strategic Financial Solutions, how we operate as a business of helping on the 401ks, ESOPs, individual wealth management, financial planning conversations. So, as I kind of got in a groove and understanding how we operate and, cross the T's, dot the I's, as the team sport of that. And yeah, so love to travel. I'm actually originally from Northeast Iowa. So I drive through Sumner to kind of go back to the farm and that end of
Okay.
it. So
Yep.
familiar stomping grounds and Lifeline when we talk that way. But yeah, had a blast going down to Cimarron last summer. I think I was there a week after Oklahoma won the NBA title, so that was kind of fun to be at least in the presence of championship territory, if you will. Yeah.
So, how does SFS kind of fit into ESOPs in general, and like what are the benefits of having SFS as a resource?
Absolutely, yeah. So if I kind of use that maybe puzzle analogy before of really just making sure employees understand what puzzle pieces they have or how impactful they are, and I would almost kind of think of an ESOP as a cheat code of sorts. So if everybody's having to do their puzzle blindfolded, having an ESOP, that is a huge wealth building opportunity that you guys get to participate in on a daily basis and try to help and grow. And if you're, again, doing the right things and the company's continuing to grow and becoming more profitable, there's no better way to directly benefit from that than being as part of an ESOP. So what we do at Strategic is really helping people lay out, again, as financial planner hat on and always on, is understanding, where they are today relative to personal financial situations. What are their financial goals? Have they even set financial goals? Where's our target? Where's our destination? Helping try to bring some clarity to that. And then also really what track are they even running on? So until we can kind of understand what you have or what puzzle pieces are available and what, the picture is supposed to look like, it's really tough for us to help as a planner. But once we understand that, we're then in a tremendous position to help kind of fit those pieces together and leverage them to the best of their ability.
So I know everyone's financial environment's a little different. Are there some questions that are pretty common across everyone?
Absolutely. Yeah. The when can I retire? that's
Mm.
that's my favorite. And I hate that there's really no direct, like, hey, I've never, Sean, nice to meet you. Yeah, you can retire at 62. So I can't do that necessarily. The crystal ball gets a little foggy. Uh, so as a planner, again, we get really good at asking questions and understanding, again, how do you handle money, and what resources do you have? What income streams do you have? You may want to retire, and that's cold turkey. I'm going to sit on the couch and eat Cheetos. That's my retirement. Or, hey, I kind of want to work some part time, or maybe I want to travel the world. So everybody's situation's, a lot different in that regard. But when can I retire is a big one. Another one, am I invested correctly? how does this match thing work, all of those, those components to the plan. So
When would someone typically reach out to you guys for questions, and when, I guess, when should they be reaching out to you?
yeah, so typically people reach out when they're, hey, I want to retire soon, or maybe I'd argue as a planner again, maybe too late, in that regard. Of once it kind of hits the brain of, I need this to create my paycheck. Now we're watching it like a hawk, and then the questions start flowing in of how does this really work, right? Ideally, you're 20 years old out of college or out of high school or whatever time frame, and you're starting your job, and that's when we're having a planning conversation to have the most time possible. Time's our friend in the financial planning world, that's for sure. So really, sooner is better, in that regard. But oftentimes, I feel like people, as they start to realize, hey, I'm not going to be able to earn a paycheck for my entire lifetime, and I need this resource or bucket of money to help me provide it. Now we really care about the markets. Now we're really watching what the IRS is doing from a tax perspective. So it's kind of a natural consequence of, as we get older, we tend to want to know what the next step is.
So maybe this leads into my next question. What are some common mistakes that you see people make, and how does SFS help people avoid those mistakes?
Yeah. I think the not having the crystal clear picture of their goals or what they want it to be. So there's this kind of twofold where I find sometimes of, hey, I really want to do this, and the resources or the assets are nowhere near where they need to be, and we're kind of behind the eight ball. We don't have enough time to save or make up for it. I've also had the really great conversations of client comes in or employee comes in and says, I'm never going to be able to retire. This isn't going to work. And we peel back some statements, look at social security benefits, understand what they want to do. And it's like, you could have retired yesterday. Things are great. So I don't want that to be, a scary thing, right? To understand where they're at. But I feel like the the biggest thing, again, having kind of that clear picture and timing, right? We'd always want to get in front of everybody as soon as possible. It's a mistake of thinking, oh, I'll do it later. We tend to have consequences of having to do a lot more savings or being a lot more risky the longer we wait. So people tend not to want to save a lot and they don't want to be risky. But yeah, another mistake, right, is not maybe being as diversified with your investments, or saving them in the right buckets relative to the IRS and tax planning. We're kind of conditioned or coached to be like, I never want to pay taxes, so I'm going to do everything I can to avoid them. You can run, but you can't hide from the IRS. They're no dummies. They're going to catch up with you as you get older. And if we've kind of tucked all our money into avoiding it, that's really going to kind of bite you in the rear end. Required minimum distributions is kind of the techie or terminology, I'll say, on that end of it. But yeah, so that's a big one for sure.
As far as like paying attention to markets and what the IRS is doing, so how does SFS actually advise people? Like, do you tell people, hey, you should invest into this stock, or like how does that actually work?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a fantastic question. I think understanding again the puzzle pieces that we have at Foliance. Your 401k is different than the ESOP, where ESOP, one company stock, right, of Foliance, and if they're part owners of that, there's not a lot of opportunity to, hey, we can't sell out of that and buy Tesla or buy Nvidia or whatever it might be. That's kind of a different animal and a different thing we treat a little bit differently. If we move over to the 401k side of the conversation, that's where employees have a little more freedom or flexibility on their investment strategy and their ability to diversify, quite honestly. So in the 401k world, you have or what are called mutual funds, a fancy word for a big group of. So instead of mutual fund, group of, whether they're stocks or bonds, are they large companies, mid-sized companies, small-sized companies? Are they U.S.? Are they international? Are you loaning your money via bonds to companies or government bonds or whatever they might be? So being able to educate and understand how to diversify your strategy, and quite honestly, fully into, you have a little bit more unique situation with the ESOP to say, how much risk are we really taking if a fair portion of your wealth is kind of in one company stock as well? So yeah, that all definitely comes into play.
So you said having an ESOP is like a cheat code almost.
Yeah.
Can you go into that a little more? Like, what advantage does that bring to someone versus employee at a normal, like, everyday company that does not have an ESOP?
Yeah. So I'll say average kind of market returns, or if you're diversified for taking some risks, 7, 8, 9%, could be a common or, a good year to have, right? The other side on the ESOP is saying, hey, we might have a 12, 15, 20% year. And I know Foliance has kind of knocked the cover off the ball as of lately, which has been really fun to see. So not only it's an extreme, really good diversifier as well. So if markets are down and Foliance has a great year, that's fun to have, that buffer or that diversification relative to that. But also just, day to day, you're a part of those operations, you're contributing to a team, you have skin in the game to help grow that. I have no say in what Amazon, or oh, maybe I do if we're buying stuff on Amazon, but my point being I have no say in what operations or how companies operate on a daily basis. But being a part of that, the open culture you guys have, the communication, positive change and growth, to be able to speak into that and different committees and things that you have. That's just so cool to really kind of take the bull by the horns and be able to grow that side of your portfolio.
So, for someone at Foliance who has not reached out to you guys before, what are some first steps that they could take to get involved?
Yeah, I would immediately coach or encourage them to schedule some time. So we use a Calendly link. It's kind of fancy way to have access to our live calendar. We tend to start out shorter in conversation. So there's a couple ways, Sean, and relative to that, we could set up a phone call, 15-minute phone call on, hey, let's look at my statement. Do you see anything funny? Do I have my beneficiary on file? That's a big one. Am I getting the match relative to the 401k, which goes into the ESOP, maybe a little more on that later. But am I getting the match? Am I invested correctly? Have I signed in? My beneficiary? Do you know who principal is? Right. Some of those questions on, do you have a username and password set up? Just kind of knowing the rules of engagement, or do we kind of have our border to our puzzle to know, how does this whole thing come together? We have these conversations on a daily basis, multiple times a day. This is not taught in school. This is complex. It can go over people's heads very quickly, which I think is a shame that have more education around not only investments but taxes, interest rates, just some basic financial principles. So I want all employees to think of us as kind of their teacher, their coach, their partner, and really coming alongside of them for their financial planning and helping ask some questions they may not have thought about.
So, if someone is thinking about reaching out, uh, what does it cost to work with you guys, and maybe what is the risk of not reaching out?
Yeah, a fantastic question. So, as a group that believes strongly in financial planning, we have I want to say eight or seven, excuse me, seven of our nine advisors are certified financial planners. And if you're somebody that doesn't work at Foliance or off the street and says, "Hey, I want to walk into Strategic Financial Solutions one day. I want them to help me with my financial planning and kind of getting my ducks in a row and reviewing what strategy I'm at or recommendations," we very easily could be billing them 150, $200 an hour to have those conversations. Here at Foliance, again, as part of this 401k ESOP relationship with Strategic Financial Solutions, we are, I'll argue to say 24/7, right? It's not like we're meeting on the weekends and things, but you have a non 800 number, a 319 number that you can call, a face with a name, an advocate for you in your financial planning. We're here to help, again, lay out some framework, understand where you're at, where you're going, and it doesn't cost you anything. So that's kind of the mic drop of all of it. Literally hundreds, like if you go meet with an attorney or your CPA or whatever it might be, they're charging you to have those conversations. But again, given the relationship and framework of that relationship at Strategic, we're not billing you to sit down and kind of help organize your financial plan. If when you do separate from service, you retire, we bring in IRAs, maybe it's long term care, life insurance, disability insurance, whatever it might be, income planning, creating paychecks. That's where we kind of flip the script to, hey, is there other direct compensation going to Strategic Financial Solutions? But looking for advice, financial planning, sitting down, am I doing the right things? What track am I on? 100% kind of complimentary in that regard.
Awesome. So, we've talked about like someone's first interaction with you guys.
Yeah.
How How often should someone be following up on that? Like, is there a reason not to have check-ins every few years or every like life milestone that kind of comes up?
Yeah, I love you're teeing this up so perfect, John. It's like you've been here, right? So more often is a good kind of framework to go by. Meet more often than maybe you initially think. If you're younger, yeah, maybe every couple years, kind of check back in to make sure things haven't changed. As you get older, maybe it's more annually, knocking into your 50s, maybe semi-annual, or as you're getting closer to 60s, you may want to touch base a little more often. And oftentimes, again, as I alluded to earlier, it's not that I have to coach people of, hey, you're getting older, we should meet more. It's that's already on their brain. They might be losing sleep at night thinking about all those things or seeing family experiences and all those components to it. So as we get older, it tends to ramp up in the amount of times to meet. So it's almost like this big curve of when we're younger, not as much. As we get to retirement, more. As we get through retirement, maybe a little bit less. It all kind of culminates around, where do I get my paycheck from, Jordan? How do we make this thing work? I'm used to seeing something hit my account every 2 weeks. So as they get more familiarity, more education, understand how the whole market works and taxes work, and again, the more confidence they have in that, the less often they tend to want to meet. But you did throw in a piece that I think is really important to touch on is anytime you have a change in your kind of your personal situation, there oftentimes is a financial decision to make with that, or a tax planning situation to plan around. So change of jobs, change in marital status if you get divorced, maybe death in the family, inheritance, moving, paychecks are changing. Those are all reasons to say, yes, absolutely. How are we making our financial plan tweak because of what we see coming down the road? So it's not a systematic, it's as life goes.
So I know you said you have a Calendly link. For someone listening to this, how can they reach out to you to schedule something like that, or is there a website that they can go to?
Yeah. So we have what's pretty great. I think we're maybe in year two of it. It's called Venrollment. So we live in a QR code based world, to say the least. But some great QR codes. Hopefully, if you see the laminated ones hanging around your place of employment, whatever kind of sleeve of foliance you're working in, pull out the phone, scan it. That has direct access to our calendar. And then the Venrollment site is meant to be that one-stop shop kind of hub of, hey, there's the principal website, or hey, there's Strategic Financial Solutions phone number, there's Jordan's email, there's educational videos on how does this match thing work and what's a Roth versus pre-tax. We may have educational seminars uploaded there for you. So it's really meant to be, instead of remembering 5 different websites, it's, hey, scan the code and here's everything kind of packaged in one spot for them. Is meant to be. I also want to kind of take that to the next level. This isn't a, hey, I talked with Jordan for 15 minutes and I'm going to say, don't call me again. Bye. It's as you need it. If we need to set up a follow-up meeting, if it's off work time, if you will, if it's virtual, phone call, in person, depending where you live, we're super flexible. We also do what are called advisor visits. So hopefully when we're on site and you have the ability to take 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it is, kind of off the line or off work, to really set up your financial planning. If that doesn't just kind of scream that your employer cares about you, I don't know what does. Is they're letting you take time to get your financial things in order and kind of get your ducks in a row, as I said earlier. They care about your retirement. They want to help you retire with integrity and really just be in a great spot to support your family. It's not, hey, we just paid you a paycheck and I'll get lost. It's, we want to set you up for your future, kind of to and through retirement is the big part.
Thanks for listening to ESOPOD. If you want to get in touch, send me an email at esopod@foliance.com.